What if your quiet conviction sold louder than any loud pitch? Why does the rhythm of steady online orders feel like the universe responding to my peaceful persistence, my intentional energy, my grounded devotion? Why does each order feel like a message sent back to me from a reality I've calmly curated through clarity, commitment, and quiet consistency? Why does my offer not need to scream to be seen, not need to chase to be chosen, not need to hustle to be heard? Why do aligned actions, taken in silence and certainty, move more mountains than frantic shouting ever could? Why does the digital space become sacred space the moment I infuse it with my steady truth? Why does consistency not just build trust with others, but create stability within me, clarity in my thoughts, coherence in my vision, and calm in my nervous system? Why does showing up every day, not out of pressure but out of presence, turn my small acts into sustainable miracles? Why does the simplest message, repeated with soul and rooted in service, ripple louder than any trend-chasing tactic? Why do my quiet offerings become loud signals to the hearts meant to hear them, speaking not through algorithms, but through alignment? Why does my brand become my being, my content, my connection, my presence, my product? Why does every sale feel less like a transaction and more like a recognition, a resonance, a remembering, a yes to the energy I've put into the world? Why does the customer who clicks feel magnetized not by urgency, but by authenticity, not by marketing, but by meaning, not by scarcity, but by soul? Why do my systems flow smoother when I let them be simple, when I strip away what's extra and deliver only what's essential? Why does clarity become currency and simplicity the strategy that always sustains? Why does peace, not pressure, become the most powerful form of persuasion? Why do I now see consistency not as repetition, but as devotion, not as routine, but as sacred ritual, not as duty, but as creative ceremony? Why does my content become a channel when I infuse it with energy that's clean, calm, and clearly committed? Why does my audience grow steadily, not because I push harder, but because I anchor deeper into who I am, what I offer, and why it matters? Why does steady momentum now feel more powerful than any viral moment? Because it's built on something true, something timeless, something tested. Why do my results multiply not by doing more, but by being fully present in less? Why does staying clear keep my signal strong, like my essence is broadcast across platforms even in stillness? Why does calm commitment remove the friction between my effort and my outcome, letting sales slide in without resistance? Why does my belief become the blueprint, my focus the fuel, my clarity the compass that directs every digital dollar home? Why does my storefront feel less like a business and more like a mirror of my frequency, clean, calm, magnetic, and aligned? Why do I no longer feel the need to prove when I know I'm already providing something priceless? Why is it that steady sales don't arrive from loud campaigns, but from quiet conviction, from embodied confidence, from soulful strategy? Why do my offerings flow because I flow, my results reflect because I reflect, my growth accelerate because I've slowed down to align? Why is the key not in the launch, but in the light I hold behind it? Not in the numbers, but in the nourishment I provide. Not in the reach, but in the resonance. Why does being simply, clearly, calmly myself become the exact reason I sell without trying? Why is it that the more I trust my essence, the more effortlessly success arrives, steady, simple, and sacred?